it, guys.
I love it. You should rock the pompadour. You should do a pompadour look.
I tried, but my hair doesn't want to stick when I slick it, and it just kind of just goes there.
You need some paste. You need paste. You need some texture paste.
I know, but this is all.
You win a fortune in Vegas?
Oh, I actually won a good deal of money, and then I ate it and drank it all. So that's the best way to celebrate Vegas. We ate our way through some really good restaurants, and I'll have to talk about that because I found a new favorite in the Bellagio. It's an Italian tapas restaurant.
Ah.
And I had the best carpaccio I've ever had in my entire life. Oh, it was so good.
Cool.
Like you and Samantha had like eating paloozas around the same time.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what vacation's for. Food, food and museums and food and more museums and Cirque du Soleil. We got to see Cirque du Soleil and we got to see the Jabberwockies and it was just.
And we got to see trees.
And we got to see trees.
Plenty of trees. Let's just start the book club. This is the redo because our first time around was just a hot mess.
It was horrible.
It was pretty bad. So I'm gonna let Sophia introduce the book because this was her choice for book club.
Okay.
So go on ahead.
I decided to do the easy way out and went to the New York Times bestsellers list, and highest rated out of that. Thank you, Amazon. But I read it was between this and another book, and I kind of hemmed and hawed between the two, and this one kind of won me over because I am a huge sucker of World War II novels. I love World War II, even though it was horrible. We don't talk about it, but I'm fascinated with it. And All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr, and it apparently he wrote another book of the same style where there's two main characters, and the chapters are split between the two, and it's no continual timeline, and I thought it was very fascinating, but he made it work. Sometimes you get stories like that, and it's like a hot mess, and you need like cheat notes to try and follow the timeline, but he made it work where it ended with one thing happening, and it started with another. So I really enjoyed it. I loved it. I did realize the audiobook had one great plus, which was that I was really mispronouncing their names. And
I agree.
I was like, oh, it was like Marie Lurie, and it's like, no, it's Marie Lure. And I'm like, oh, who's this Marie Lure he's talking about? And I'm just like, I thought they were talking about Marie Laurie. And I was like, no. But I did love this book. This is one of my favorites. It's kind of up there with Isabel Allende. I'll have to say that. So.
Just real quick, everybody kind of introduce what you're drinking for the night. I wanted to start off because I went to Aldi's and I saw their Aldi selection, and I saw this guy, and it's called the Winking Out, and it was for $2.95, and I was like, yeah. I gotta try this out. $2 bottle of wine.
$2
wine. Actually, not too shabby. It is a white Zinfandel, and it's pretty good. It's got this nice soft taste to it. I think my dad opened it up for you, Samantha, when you guys visited earlier. I think it was like last week.
Oh, but, maybe. I think that's what he gave me. That was real good. Like that was gone in 30 minutes.
Totally worth it. $2.95. Aldi's.
That's good.
I have what's the name? It's from Conchitoro, I think. It's the same brand, but it's what's the name of it, Michael? It starts with an F. But it's a Camanier. I'm having a Camanier, a nice red dry. It's a giant bottle of wine for $8, and I just call it my I've had it wine. And I've moved on from the Merlogency bottles to the Carmanier bottle, which I really love. It's a nice dry, semi-dry cherry, little taste to it, a little bit of coffee. I like it. It's delicious. Good with the beef and good with the pork.
Red meat.
Yeah, and I did have to take a break from wine because I got yelled at for my weight gain of wine. I didn't realize how many calories are in one glass of wine.
Yeah, anything good is just bad with calories, I come to find out. If it looks appealing, then you're not supposed to put it in your mouth.
Yeah, so. If you really like it, don't eat it. So, yeah, pretty much. But I do when I'm trying to be good and eat clean, I've been just doing the vodka club soda. It's a sad existence.
It's okay.
I know. But I cope.
Well, at least it's not like the gin and tonics from Girl on the Train. That's all right.
In a can?
You haven't, yeah, in a can, nonetheless.
Mine's not in a can.
Good. Your
Sorry.
good.
And next is Becky with a gin and tonic.
Yes.
The gin is actually
And
from
I'm a dick, sorry.
the gin is from St. Augustine. There's a distillery, and you
Really?
tour the distillery, and they have gin and vodka, and we got a bottle of each. And I think they have bourbon now that has aged enough that they're selling the bourbon, but
Really? Road trip.
very a little higher proof than usual gin, I guess. So.
Oh, the good stuff.
I know. I love St. Augustine. So pretty.
I haven't gone there. I'm dying to go.
Oh, it's so eerie and just everything's so old and beautiful. Love it.
And there's actually a lot of stuff to do.
There is. I spent like it was like a day and a half there, and I was nonstop doing something.
Yeah, there's little tours, and there's museums, and there's a big fort, and there's actually a lot to do.
I'm over here trying to pull up my notes because I know I had them on my phone somewhere, and I really did homework. I promise I did.
What you got, Mike?
Who is it? Is Mike drinking a G&T from a can?
Yeah. What do you got there, Sparky? Where? Oh, Michael, your mic is not working. Mike, your mic is not working.
And I thought that you were just being quiet.
No, I muted him. We're going to talk about that next time.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt
You
it.
guys missed it. He muted her on our last book club.
Mike, your mic's not working. Do you need my headphones?
Mine doesn't have a mic. Apparently, I need a mic if I use headphones.
Oh, no, we heard you
I
now.
heard you.
Yeah, because I took off my headphones. No, I'm drinking nice bourbon. This is Blue State.
Oh, the blue state. You moved away from the red state. We're kind of doing the bipartisan today. Yesterday he had red state, and today he has blue state.
Well, I was afraid I was going to run out of the red state tonight, and after the day I had, I needed a whole bottle, so I stopped on the way home.
Oh, well, Mike was very kind to do tech support for our office. Oh, and we have a non-network network.
Oh, I see.
Not really a server, but yeah, one of those. So he, of course, had to have, I think the breaking point was when he had to install AOL for Doctor.
What?
He uses AOL.
Did I hear that right?
AOL. The man does not like change. He does not like change.
I'm so sorry that is your work environment.
Yeah, well, we don't use that. We use Google.
Yeah, we use something
And
else.
we're connected to the Wi-Fi, but he's still kind of like checking his news on AOL in the morning. And you hear, "You got mail," and I'm like, "We're back in time!" every morning.
Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan. This is wonderful.
Yes.
All right, what are you drinking, Samantha?
Well, we started this Biggest Loser group at work this week, so I'm trying to be really good. So I'm not drinking anything tonight.
Gotcha, girl. We're supportive.
Yes,
Keep it going.
You can do it.
Pounds, so
You can do it. What we drink in your honor of getting healthy. Well,
I appreciate
we
it.
are not getting healthy.
No.
Yeah. All
No,
right, well, let's start off this wonderful book club. I'm just over the moon that we all have audio and video, so whoever wants to jump on in, go.
Get a little more light going on here. Oh, I got a Carol Ann moment there. Who wants to? I tend to yammer on, but with the story, we got the two characters, which was Marie-Laure and Varner. I know, I said it the right way this time. Werner. Werner.
I couldn't get past the Werner. I wanted to say Werner, but it's Werner.
Yeah, it's Werner. And she was the daughter of a museum. Well, he wasn't really a curator. He was a stone specialist and kind of the key holder of the
he was
museums.
the key guy.
The key guy. And Werner was raised in a coal town orphanage with a French nun that ran it, and he had a little sister, which I really liked the sister.
Yeah.
I really wish they would have showed more of her, but we'll move on to that. But it's kind of, it's an interesting story. I mean, the whole basis of it is how the world is connected by sound and radio, and back then how radio was such a big thing, and it was one of the first things censored during the war in Germany. And I found it very, very fascinating about how people still kept their radios and still kind of sent their messages and listened. And I really enjoyed the story just because you got to see the real side of the war. Not the Americans coming to save, or the British, or the Allies, or this. You got to see the people that were in Germany working the industrial jobs and the coal mines, and the kids being sent off to little Hitler camp. And that's what I kept calling him. I'm like, oh, he's going to little Hitler camp. And,
pretty much, that's what I was thinking too. And
how to be Hitler. And and then you have Marlure, who her dad kind of kept her sheltered but didn't. And it was like, he was the darkness, she was the light. Like I said before, there was that whole theme in the book of darkness and light, and she was the light. She was the one with the hope, even though she was in complete darkness, and he's the one who had to see all the darkness around him. So I really was fascinated with the way he wrote the story. I loved it. Loved it, loved it. Next.
Yeah,
I cut myself.
What, did we both suck at one?
Oh no, I said I cut down my chatter because I tend to go la 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 la. So not today.
This book, it's a taboo subject. Not a lot of people like to talk about the war, any kind of war, honestly, and especially World War II and anything to do with Hitler. So this one was refreshing, like Sophia said. It was kind of refreshing because anytime we do talk about it, we talk about it in the viewpoints of Americans. And this was the viewpoint of German people during that time, and of course the French people, just European people. No Americans. There was like one mention of American, and it was just that they thought the American men were good looking. That was it, and that was great. That was the really refreshing part about that. And it was, I don't think I've ever kind of came across anything that kind of gave a different viewpoint other than us Americans. So I like how it focused on the both parties, and I like that it had the. I don't think anybody was really a main character. Everybody was the main character, and I love her father. He to me was the epitome of being a parent. He was just protecting his precious little petite, what was his nickname for her, and it was just so pure and honest. It just puts a tear in my eye. I think like Sophia was talking about, how it just kind of is not, it goes from past to present to, it kind of gets you a lot of places. For me, it was kind of difficult to kind of keep track at times. I don't know if it was just kind of, it was hard for me to kind of just realize and picture things, I guess. But at times I did find it was frustrating, and it kind of deterred me on like keep on prevailing and reading. But I'm glad I did, because it does paint a bigger picture, and when you reach the end, you see the masterpiece of what this author was putting together. Oh. All right, I'll keep it short too, because I can keep on rambling.
So I agree with Sophia that I love how it went back and forth and back and forth. I think you pulled it off perfectly. And it's like, have you ever read any of Arthur Haley's books? They're all like airport and hotel, and he wrote.
I remember watching the made-for-TV movies. Does that count?
Movies, right? But not. You haven't read the books, but that's how he writes his books: a chapter with this person and a chapter with that one, and then at the end, it all the like an airport. Suddenly they have the big catastrophe at the airport, but you've already met all the people because you've been reading all the chapters about them, and then they all come together in this catastrophe. And it's really cool. And this guy, I love how he did it. And also, I love when there's a story that just takes events that you're used to, and it could just be just another story, but they put something really unique in there. And I thought him carving those little villages was just the coolest thing, because it was just for this book. You know, it was super unique, just done for this book with her, so she could find her way with this little miniature town. And I just thought that was really, like, my favorite thing.
Yeah, when they were describing the little miniature, it was pretty much like the size of dining room table you mentioned in the book, and it was just a miniature of any town that she was in. It was their hometown, which I forgot the name, not good at it, sorry, and then the town that they fled to. He did both. I just kind of was like craving to actually see the miniature towns, you know. I'm like, oh man, I really want to see. So that was always cool, and that always fascinated me as well, Becky. It's kind of like that was a really cool aspect that he threw in there.
Yeah, I thought that was the best unique thing, and thing that really made it like a cut above just being a story, is because it had something so special in it.
And I felt so bad for him when he was making the model of the new town, and that's probably what ended up getting him arrested in the long run.
Right.
Yeah, because they said that he ended up the perfumer ended up ratting him out because he was measuring buildings, and he was doing that for his daughter, so making the miniature town for her so she could know where she's going, and that was like, oh, like I just love her dad so much. I love his character. He's my favorite. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh
like
no,
they're in the snow, and like she finally got them home the first time, and I was like, oh my god, that's like a Hallmark moment. So.
I loved it. I loved it.
I did too. I thought it was really great. And I mean, spoiler alert for people who haven't watched it, and the point was about saving that jewel, and 5 of them out there with the jewels, and which one was fake and which one was real, and they get all the way there to save it, and then it doesn't actually save it after all. And I was really frustrated until I realized that she's probably the actual jewel that he saved, and not the rock.
What's it called? The burning fire. The
flame, blue
flame of the seas, or
flame of the sea, something like
that. Yeah, in the book, it's spoilers, like Sophia mentioned last time, was if you're watching the book club, there's going to be major spoilers. So, FYI. But in the book, there is a jewel, a very old, precious jewel, or stone. Sorry, it's a stone that a Nazi.
The Sea of Flames.
Yeah, the Sea of Flames, a Nazi soldier is trying to collect it because there's actually a really good documentary called The Rape of Europa. And it's just where all of the masterpieces, art was stolen. The Nazis stole it from the people that owned it, and museums and everything. So that was his main objective, was this one soldier. That's what he did. He ended up going and getting value pieces of art, and he was obsessed with this stone, which is Sea of Flames, and the character's father was in charge of the museum that had it. So, and then they ended up giving it to him, and nobody knew. I like that, and he didn't know. Nobody knew if they held the real one because they ended up sending out replicas.
Right. And so they had the 4 fakes and the real one, but by the end you realize that she has the real one.
Yeah, and then it's like we all know, and he knew, and he mentioned it. He's like, they couldn't have given it to me, but deep down inside, he knew.
It made sense. He was the key holder. He was the safekeeper of the museum, so of course they would give it to him, in my opinion, because it made sense, because he protected everything. He kept everything shut tight and neat and organized. Why not give it to him?
Yeah.
But that German soldier was obsessing over it, hoping it would cure him if he held it. He didn't care about.
Right.
Yeah, he wanted to live forever.
It was all personal.
Oh yeah, he had all the tumors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Yeah, just the
gross
way they
sounding
described
tumors.
that in the book too, I was like, oh, that's just nasty.
Yeah.
He was just
Uh,
literally rotting from the inside out. So
Reinhold von Rumpel.
Van Rumpels.
Von Rumpel. Yes. He was not a cool guy. I did not like him.
I didn't either. He was very calm, where his character was calm and eerie, like
Like American Psycho.
yes, and it was very disturbing, and it's just like I put off every time they talk about him. I was like, ew.
No, I did not like him. No.
Who was everybody's favorable character in this book?
The dad. I just love the dad, just for everything that he did for his daughter.
Yeah,
And like the birthday gifts too. He always made like something intricate and fun, and was always pushing her without pushing her over the edge, you know.
I think he was the light, to be honest. He kept things positive. When she would worry, he would always just kind of cheer her up. He had like a sense of humor to himself, and and she describes it too. She knows that her father's worried or smoking a lot of cigarettes or when things started happening and progressing, but he always tried to keep humor and keep her lifted, uplifted. So for me, I personally take the title of the book, All the Light We Cannot See. I feel like that is just like a reference to her father and kind of always pushing her through, because in her mind, later on the book, she felt like he was talking to her, or she had an internal dialogue with her father in her head. And I think that's what I think.
I would have to say Etienne, Great Uncle Etienne, was my favorite character, just because, well, Marie-Laure kind of brought him out of it, where he was in this little shut-in, traumatized state of life, and when she came to the house, she brought the light that she was, and he started teaching her about the radios and the big radio, and showed the records, which I thought that was so cool, that Warner and her were connected because of the records of the science teachings.
Yeah, that was really great.
That was so cool. And like he tells the children, open your eyes and see the world before you, before it is gone.
I'm sorry, but I love that saying. Hold on, I had it like bookmark. I died dog too.
I think it's page
it?
49.
Open your eyes and see what you can with them before they close forever. And they keep on mentioning the saying throughout the book, and it's really
with
Madame.
What was her name? The housekeeper, Madame. Not Laurie. No. Madame Manek, where she says, what was it that she told them? Don't you want to live before you die? Don't you want to see what life is before you die? And when she was telling him, be part of the resistance movement that she was doing, and what did he call it? The old lady club?
Yeah.
He says, you and your old lady club. And she was, once, spoiler alert, she kicks the bucket, pneumonia, and he continues her work. But
yeah.
I love how they were spies. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that was actually one of my favorite parts of the book, is that you have these women in this town that are like, they refuse to just sit by and idly watch this, and they wanted to take part, and it was great. And she was like, I think they said that she was like 78 or something.
Yes, because she was, they mentioned a story, like a flashback of her. I don't know if it was Marie-Laure was imagining her being in the house as a young maid while the two boys ran around, and Uncle Etienne and, was it Frederick, the brother that passed away? I don't remember what his name was. But she's like, I could see them now, a young maid working in the house, watching the two boys scuffle, blah, blah, blah. But what I did like about her was when she did the revolution, I'm pretty sure you noticed that, yes, they gave numbers or coordinates or whatnot, but then she said, you know what, we got to step this up. This person had a baby. This person they kept it like the old ladies club. So-and-so wants her family to know that she's pregnant and that so-and-so is healthy and fine. So they kind of kept it like an old neighborhood. like they were, like a village. So it's like, here's the coordinates, but Francois just got hitched, and so had a baby girl, and so got married, or he's well in this village. So it was nice how they personalized their revolution and kept it the way that the town was, and the old ladies ruled. I like that. I loved Madame Manette, where she was the opposite, in my opinion, of Sister Marie-Louise. She kind of cowered in fear constantly. She was the keeper of the orphanage, but she was always afraid and taught the kids to continuously be afraid.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Madame Manette was like, hell no, I'm going to sit here and smoke my cigarettes and make omelets. And she was happy. I loved her, and it was that whole theme of light and dark and polar opposites, and I loved that part in the book.
Yeah, and you see a lot of how people reacted differently in the beginning and just in the middle and the of everything happening over there. Like where it was at first, it was just denial. Everybody was in denial. It's not really happening, or it's just a little, whatever. And even for the German people, they were like, oh well, we're starting to, get butter and cheese and everything's looking better, and not really questioning it. And you can kind of see that evolution when the boys are at that camp, where it started off not bad until they slowly kind of brainwashed these boys into these soldiers, the Nazi soldiers. So it was a step-by-step process, and then at the end, it's they ended up bringing a prisoner, and they dumped water on him. They killed him. They left him out in exposure, and that was the last of this training. It's like they
Frederick.
Desensitized these boys. That was a friend, Frederick.
I love Frederick.
That was a very sad part in the book for me, because for a while you didn't know what happened to him after he was beaten up, I think severely beaten up, and then he goes and visits him, and he's pretty much just bedridden and his mind is mush, and it was so sad because he loved the bird, and he was just the weird kid, and he didn't want to hurt anybody, and his parents were relying and got him into this camp because they thought it was going to promote them and him in life, and it was a sad thing that happened to him.
I think this book had such a wonderful political message, and it's no to indifference. That's how it starts. I mean, when big changes happen, like the occupation of France and Hitler and the movement, people didn't question and then just became indifferent. Like, oh, this is just the way it is. Oh, we have to turn in our guns. Oh, we have to turn in our radios. Oh, we can't listen to any radio stations. So, Michael, are you having issues over there? I just hear clanging of glass, and I don't know what's going on.
Oh, over there.
No, Michael tends to be a little exuberant with my china. And
it was one of your tart warmers in the wine bottle.
Really? Don't break any more things.
No, I didn't break anything. It's all good.
So what I was saying was that he brought up this whole view of how people just went numb during the war because they thought, oh, I'm supposed to work in the coal mines because it's good for the country. Oh, I'm supposed to turn in everything I own to help, this country that just took over my town that has nothing to do with me. So they were just going with the flow without questioning. And I liked how the biggest revolutionary, the biggest one was the little old lady that canned peaches and made omelets, and she's the one who said, I'm done. I've had it. We have to do something. And it was like, that was the strongest message for me. To me, it was a very, very well-written book where it had a lot of little hints and a lot of little messages, but it also reminded me of Life is Beautiful.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that movie? And I can't watch that movie. I watched it once. I bawled my eyes out. I don't think I could ever watch it again.
I know.
But Daniel, the dad, reminded me of him, how he kept his son in the dark. Like, oh, we're just playing a game and we're just doing this. And in a way, she knew what was really going on, but he calmed her nerves.
Yeah.
She didn't deny that the Nazis were there and they were hiding her because she was blind, and they were afraid that, you know, back then anybody who was blind or had a mental disability or was gay, which was considered to be an illness, were shipped off and killed. And he was trying to protect her from that. And it was just a sad reminder of how ugly we can be, but how beautiful we can be together at the same time. Light, dark, light, dark.
Yeah, this definitely gave the perspective of a lot of people and how it kind of progressed throughout years um, of you know, for everybody involved, of just little by little, this is how it happened, this is how it turned out, this is how it was able to turn into what it did. And it kind of gave I guess, like, everybody had their hope, and it was Werner with his sister, and just, you know, and being able to just learn. That's all he wanted to do. And Marie to be with her father and learn as well. And it just, everybody had that hope that they were clinging on to. And this was a very big book about communication as well, and just
Yes.
like, I don't know, just the way how people communicated in
The
towns.
letters. The letters.
The letters, yeah, the letters as well. It was definitely a refreshing book. Like I said before, it was, I don't know, maybe it's because I was rushing the reading, which is 99% pretty sure that's what it was, that I was having trouble keeping track of when we were time hopping. Um, but other than that, it was a beautiful book. It was a refreshing book. I felt myself on the beaches in France, in that small town where it was Santa Malo or Saint Malo,
San Malo.
San Malo, and I
But
could actually imagine myself there in that, you know.
I wanted to live there.
Yeah, and just the way to describe these towns were just, it was very beautiful, in what I imagined in my head.
But you mentioned communication, and we brought this up in our last failed.
Yeah, our failed attempt.
But the last letter that Utah sends Varner, you can tell how bad they were shutting down the lines of communication by the amount of censorship.
Yeah.
He got what? She got to read 2.5 sentences. That's pretty much it. Like, the paper's hard to find, and that's pretty much all she got the gist of. So it was kind of like they were shutting down communication to try and weaken and centralize people, and it was, the radio was the only thing that was keeping people alive. And they even tried to shut that down, but then, of course, you know, Etienne with his super antenna, it was so awesome. I love that part. What are you doing in my work bag, John?
But I was frustrated that we spent the whole book meeting them, watching them, seeing the whole progression, seeing how he found her, and then what, they have like 4 or 8 hours or something, and then I'm like, but wait, I wasn't done with them yet. I wanted more from them. They're supposed to live happily ever after. What happened?
I know, and that was what I mentioned in our last failed attempt book club, was like, you spend this entire book, and then they actually meet at the end, towards the end, and you're like, I just wanted them to meet and, like, have a baguette and just enjoy each other, and that didn't happen.
But you know, you would have been mad if that happened. We would have
been
felt
upset,
like,
and I probably would have been critiquing it, but
I wouldn't have been mad if they'd gotten together, because I would have just assumed that this was their story. This was how they got together. This is the way they brought them together. So I was more frustrated that they didn't get together. I was like, what?
and you know, we brought up in the last one how when he puts when Werner and who was the other guy, the big tall guy,
Right.
when they were trapped in the basement or in the cellar, and he puts the headsets on him and says, listen, and it's the Claire de Lune song playing. I think he listened to that radio show too as a kid, because something perked in his eyes when he was just dead, and he says, we have to get out of here and you have to save her. So he must have listened to that same radio show that Varner and Utah used to listen to, and then you find out later he actually knew a lot about radios because after the war, what is he doing? He's setting up antennas. So he knew more than what he was saying he did, and I think he was part of the secret radio society too. So I thought that was really fascinating, and also the fact that he got all the pieces of what was left over once he passed away, Varner passed away, and he decided that it was his duty to go find Utah and give it to her, and then Utah decided to go find Marie-Laure and give her the house, or to at least find where it came from. So it all kind of came full circle towards the end in a way where we weren't expecting it, but it made sense. Life goes on.
Yeah, and it's not wrapped up in a bowl, and I appreciate that it isn't, because that will just defeat the whole purpose of writing a book in that time, and about, nothing was perfect back then. And so as much as I would have loved to see them have this wonderful romance, or not even a romance, a friendship, it's not reality, and this was more towards reality, and that's what I do appreciate about it.
I do wish I would have known more. Like they hinted, oh, she had 2 lovers. Oh, she had a child. Oh, here is a grandchild. And it's like, wait, slow down.
Yeah, I would like to know more of that story. Like,
I had to read half a chapter about her touching snails in a grotto, and you're like, oh, 2 lovers, kid, a little kid playing on it.
Grandchildren now, but you described this snail touching pretty interesting. It was just, for some reason.
Hey, Mr. Doerr.
I was like, wait, what happened now? It's like, because this author goes into detail and setting up just everything so you can get it in your mind and just place everything.
Not as obnoxious as Anne Rice got, because I love Anne Rice in the beginning, but she got to the point where she took 3 pages to describe the carving on a cabinet, and I'm just like, honey, just get to it. What's happening?
I know, eventually it became unreadable.
Yes, it was
agree.
like, yeah, okay, it's a cabinet. Next, what's going on?
But seriously, Interview with a Vampire was like one of the best books ever. She wrote it.
I'm glad that you said that.
Mummy.
Ready for your response. Interview with a Vampire is one of my favorite books.
And the Mummy.
I read it.
Do it to the Mummy.
I didn't get to read the Mummy. I was reading the vampires, and then I was going on the witches. But Interview with the Vampire, if you have not read it, this is what I did when I read the book. I read it only at night. And it was, when the sun went down, I started reading it until I, fell asleep. But beautiful, especially at night. It just hits you hard. Try it if you haven't. Sorry, okay, I digress.
Yes, and don't watch the movie, which took the 2 of them and reversed them, miscast it totally. But what do I know?
I think they just were. That was just a horse and pony show for Cruz and Pitt. So.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the movie, I actually go see that Plantation last year.
She did.
So
yeah,
jealous.
Oak Alley in New Orleans.
Oh,
so.
I'm gonna. Hold on, I'm doing it quick.
Totally forgot about that,
nourishment real quick. If I'm having a second glass of wine, which I need to go refill. Enjoy my Cinderella castle blanket.
That's awesome. So what plantation? What?
It was Oak Alley Plantation. It was actually where they filmed Interview with a Vampire and a bunch of other ones. And the weather was so bad that me and Henry were the last 2 there. So we got a personal tour of the actual plantation home.
What?
That's cool.
No one else was around, so they took us through it. So.
Oh my God! Is the place haunted? Did it feel creepy? Tell me all about it.
No, it wasn't haunted. It was really pretty. The trees were something out of like the Grimm stories. They were like at least 500 years old. It was so cool, and like I don't know, they were just massive. Like you walk next to it, and I'm already small, but I look like really small.
You're like, oh, this is just amazing. It's just that timely feel of those old trees. Oh, I'm so glad that you guys went to go see that, because I saw you put that on Facebook. I'm like, and I'm jealous. And
the cool part is the original bricks that they used to make the house, which was right across the street on the Mississippi River, are still in the house. It's like the house it's still its foundation. They just built around it to support it more.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I love stuff like that.
Yeah, I was very excited to see where you guys went in Nolans. I couldn't say they're Nolans.
Yeah, I keep saying but it's New Orleans, so.
Well, going back to this book, because we were talking about interview sidelines, the interview with the vampire and Anne Rice. He described it very well.
Okay, don't judge my jeans and jean shorts and moon boots here because I got
you
company.
look good. Don't even worry about it.
Okay.
To some people, I can see that they might say get to the point, but it's needed. I think it was needed to kind of progress throughout the book of just setting up everything. And pretty much he wanted everyone to see. I keep on saying that, but everybody wanted to see the evolution of just this party and this crazy guy named Hitler gathering people and wanting change or make Germany better again. And
what was the little saying that the student said? The Aryan race is as blonde as Hitler.
I laughed out loud on that part, and I said that too. That was funny. They're as blonde as Hitler, and I was like, oh no, they didn't. Well, it was pretty much the author's way of showing that how this grew into something big and just destructive throughout the years, and how everybody dealt with it. So not as bad as Anne Rice detailing things, but
you do have to read.
It's a pretty thick book, like boom, you know.
The NPR Books did a wonderful review about it, and it said, "I love the title, A Fractured Tale of Time, War, and a Really Big Diamond." And I just thought that kind of captured it all there, but it was hysterical. I'm an NPR nut, though.
I love me some NPR.
It runs in the family.
So I would have to say I like this book. It's a book that you need to take your time on, for sure. Don't rush it like I did, and like I always do.
And you have to savor it like a fine wine.
You have
and a chocolate or cheese. I got so hungry reading this book. Every time she got cheese or a chocolate or the fresh breads or the omelets, and I'm like, I want an omelet. I want some chocolate. I was so hungry reading this book.
So how did everybody else feel about this book?
I really liked it. I thought it was well written, and it, living in America, you paint this picture painted of how France is, and all they do is surrender, and I make those jokes too. But
the French uniforms with the what was the one joke? They designed the French uniforms with spandex under the arms to easily raise them. Yeah, that was a bad joke. French rifles, never shot, dropped once. Yeah, I've heard all those jokes.
But this gave you a little insight to the resistance and the resilience of the French people, because everyone in that village could have easily laid down and did nothing, but even it was the old women who were leading the resistance, at least in that one small town.
Yeah. Yep. The ones that they least expected. And if you look into the history of that, one of the best spies that they used was a woman that had a bad leg. So she wore braces. So when she walked across town with these secret messages, nobody questioned her because it's a crippled woman walking the town carrying bags, but she ended up being one of the top spies in the resistance of France.
I love me some women spies, and it goes back to the Copper Spy Ring.
There is a new one.
So the women spies in history.
Here's the women spies.
That same author wrote a book about Thomas Jefferson.
Ooh.
I know, I have it. I downloaded it. I haven't read it yet.
I was talking. I read it. That was a really good book choice. I was just thinking about it. I was like, man, that was such a good book.
Oh, and I did get our new book. I got it on audio format. Just because
I'm excited. Neil Gaiman, Samantha. I'm pretty pleased.
I'm going to say this is my first Neil Gaiman book I will be reading.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Not very. So if you guys are busy, there's still time to squeeze it in. So.
It's not a very big book. I was surprised, but it looks really good.
Did they ever make that movie of The Gods in America? What was it called? They were supposed to do a movie or a TV show of it. Did it fall through on BBC? Or what? Was it Gods in America or Gods of America? What was the one book about how the gods come down from Olympus into Earth? I can't remember which book that I read the first chapter and then the book got taken away from me because it took too long. So
give back my book. I was mostly reading his the Sandman series. And
I did read his comic series. Does that count as a book?
I'm more of his comic stuff. And then there was this one book where it was short stories, which was really good, really creepy, very Neil Gaiman.
I'm gonna throw down the old school towel at you, child, because I had to wait for every comic book to come out before reading them, and I had to wait between each one of those comics before I knew what was going on, and that was horrible. I hated it.
What are you talking about? I still do that. I still buy each individual issue. I wait a month, and I buy each issue. I do not do trade back.
It was like the Green Mile. Who read the Green Mile when it was chapter per chapter? Do y'all remember that? That you had to wait every month for a new chapter to come out? Oh, that was horrible. I hate it. I have impulse control issues. I can't.
Yeah, it's tough, but I think it's like a little treat during the month where I'm like, ooh, and I mostly just do it with Saga. Saga is just an amazing comic. My favorite, actually named Hazel after the baby character. Great comic. If you guys are ever interested in getting into comics, it's one of the greatest. It wins a lot of awards.
Get that. I got you hooked on Anita Blake, though, didn't I?
Yeah, it was really good. You actually got me introduced to more main female characters, like the heroes and stuff. So
well, let's call it as our great redheaded diva calls it, which is the female heroine stories are called the vagina. What is it called? Because she has that channel. It's about books that are based on female heroes only.
Oh, vaginal fantasies.
Vaginal fantasies. And
at first I'm like, what? Felicia Day.
Felicia Day. And it's books that are only female heroes, and they are in a powerful position. And it's like, I thought, first of all, when I first heard her say that, that's not right.
Yeah.
But
I was like, what is your book called?
What are we talking about?
Vaginas, but it's mostly, and I actually grabbed their basis of how they do their virtual book club, and I really liked it. I was like, you know what, we can start our own virtual book club, because nobody has time to go meet up at a location and then drink about it and drive home. That's not really smart, so we can do it in our beds, like right now.
With cut-off shorts and moon boots and a shirt that says, surprise, I'm drunk.
Yeah, exactly. Wearing pajama pants underneath this. You guys can't see. You don't know if I'm wearing pants.
I got my Nurse Chicks shirt on that says Nurse Chicks.
Nurse Chicks! Yeah! I love that. That is so cool.
That's going in the description, Becky, of this is we Nurse Chicks.
There we go.
Yeah. Pajama
Samantha,
pants.
what did you think about the book? Sorry, we forgot. We were sidelined.
No, I liked it a lot. I thought that the ideas that he was trying to portray flowed really well. And it was sometimes I felt like I was reading poetry, like when they were describing, I guess, the German boy first finding the radio. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it was just awesome the way he described that. I never would have looked at like makings of a radio as like artwork or anything like that. So I really did enjoy it, and I don't know. I think that the daughter and the father combo were probably just my favorite, just because they were just so cute.
Yeah,
I loved the dad. The dad was awesome.
I
don't want to talk about it.
Get together, ladies, all right? It's book club.
Well, they never said what happened to him.
They never. I read it. I was like, I don't get nothing.
Somewhere in there they said that he had died.
Did it? Oh, God.
No. Just drink your wine. It's okay.
Died in captivity somehow. I forget
Yeah, they
Well,
mentioned
got the information, but he did
had
not.
influenza. That he had influenza, but they didn't say what happened. So
yeah, I read that part. All right.
Yeah, but see,
All right.
I when I read a book, I really want the main character, you know, who the protagonist or just the main person. I want them to be strong, and usually they're my favorite character. I like Murray Lore the best, and you know, in Harry Potter, I like Harry Potter the best. You know, go to Disney World, I'm looking for Mickey and Minnie. I don't know. I'm just like
Yeah,
a
I got you.
I
Give me
know.
the main man. Give me the main people.
right.
I'm always a sucker for like the just like the scroungy like a side character that is kind of brave, you know, and it's just
Frederick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frederick was really good. I think last time I said that Frederick was my favorite character, but I have to go back to the dad because he's just
Yeah, the dad was really cool, and
Yeah.
Frederick was really kind of an everyman. He was like he was sort of an every character, like he was sort of symbolic of a
He
whole
was
generation
awesome.
of people, not just him.
Yeah, I agree with you, Becky. I think he symbolized everybody's real intention of just like they didn't want to partake in these things.
Right.
The boys didn't want to they didn't want to do this, and they just wanted to go towards their passion. And he just wanted to learn about birds, and Werner wanted to learn about mathematics and equipment and engineering. And even Volkheimer, the big guy, he loved classical music, and that's what gave him passion. And which is great. That was really great putting it, Becky. Is that he symbolizes everybody's
He does. All
pyramid.
the people who started out with ideals, people who were not in the mold, you know, that got put in there, but he just was symbolic of what happened when you, in that regime, when you did not fit into the mold, when you tried to resist, when you tried to do stuff, they just knocked you down until you fit into with everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's why you see thousands and thousands of people all standing there with their hands out together. You know, they're all Frederick.
Yeah. That's great. That's really good.
We mentioned it in the previous failed horrible broadcast that we would just call it the failed horrible broadcast. How all the German boys all ended up wanting what they were running away from in the end. Werner had the vision of doing the toy boats in the dirty stream with Jutta, and he says, well, did I build another one? I think we built another one. And when he was walking towards the minefield, all he could go back to was the dirty old coal town he wanted to leave. And when Volkheimer was about to die in the cellar, he was trapped where he thought he was about to die, he saw his grandfather cutting the tree down and telling him, come help me.
Yeah.
And he went back to what he was trying to leave. So all these kids, Frederick wanted to go back to his birds, and it was everything they were pulled away from. They ended up wanting again in the end. So it's like, do we really want change or what?
Yeah,
what do we want?
I think most people wanted to go back the way it was before the war.
Yeah.
The war was a horrible change.
Oh God, no! I learned, like I mentioned in the previous broadcast, my best friend was born in Germany, and her mom was a child during the Hitler regime. And the stories she told us, you know, when they freed all the prisoners, her mom sat her and her sister down on the couch and said, sit down, they're going to come and kill us. And little 5-year-old girl sitting on the couch, hearing all these people rushing through, and thinking, are they going to kill us? And putting yourself in that situation, you can't. Your mind goes numb. It's like if you see something that's completely disgusting or gross, your brain tries to shut it out. That's how I would see myself in that situation. But I can't even imagine being at that time, where it's either do what they say or die.
No, and you said you like books about that period, you don't like the stuff about it, but I do not. This was an exception. I liked it quite a bit, but normally I don't like World War II stuff. I don't. I like to keep my head in the sand, I guess. I don't.
Yeah. World War II was the first publicized war. I mean, we have World War I where we don't talk about Russia because that was a bad move. But I think it was once the media got involved and people started seeing the atrocities that were happening and it started getting published, society became more involved. The same with Vietnam and the same with the Gulf Wars, and the more you see, the more you realize what's right or wrong. And in humanity, we need to open our eyes more, like Madame Minogue said, open your eyes. Don't you want to live before you die? Don't you want to see what's right or wrong? Don't you want to do the right thing? And we need that more in the world.
Yeah,
we need people to open their eyes.
This book is definitely a great introduction to getting out of your norm of what you're reading, especially for World War II. This is really a great way to break free of what your habits are for reading and get yourself into this. I honestly thought this was probably one of the better books to do that with. Because, like Becky said, it's kind of like sometimes it's a little bit too much for people. This was great, and then you can build yourself. If you like it, then you can go on. But for me, this was a really good book for somebody that definitely wants to change what they want to read, and
It wasn't too ugly, but it was truthful.
Yeah.
You know what? And it got me the feeling for what was going on in the war, and you could see how things got worse, and you could see how the censorship went, and you could see how the evil was creeping in, but it wasn't graphic and nasty. It still told the story.
Yeah. And and it still mentions the horrific events that happened. They mention it. They don't go into detail, but they mention the horribleness of what happened. So it's not like you're completely left in the dark. It's still there, not as detailed. And I would recommend this for anybody. Just because it gives you a different perspective, especially as an American. All we really see is that everything in the American's perspective, and not who was actually
the beaches
there.
of Normandy.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, the beaches of Normandy, and that's it. And this is just the whole process of everything there. So I recommend it.
It's a tasteful tragedy. I loved it.
Just take your time, let yourself get embraced with the book, and it is a good read. It's a wonderful read. So he also wrote a couple more books. I have not read them, but I'm interested. He's a good author, and I like how he described things. So I will probably look into that.
I did download the audio of the book that he published prior to this. Something about Esther, I think it's called. I don't know. I have so many books in my life. Here's my Neil Gaiman book. Ocean at the End of the Lane. I'm very excited to read this one just because it's not Sandman. So I'm stepping out of the Sandman because my theory was, well, I read Sandman. Why do I want to read anything else?
What's Sandman about?
It's hard to explain. It's about death, and were they really gods, Lauren? Were they the gods and the goddesses, or not really? It was the symbolism of death, the symbolism of life, and they were brothers and sisters and cousins, and the drama between them all. And it's kind of like a Greek tragedy, but based
it has that
on the underworld.
I always just took it as that they were. But to each his own. When you're reading a comic, you kind of you take it how it is. I guess for me, I took it as that they were the gods.
Yeah, and he was so caring.
Sandman was a graphic novel.
Yes, and it to me it came out around the 90s, and I was a young impressionable, bad haircut and bad eyebrows girl. And to me, it was my first introduction into comics because I was dating who was, well, now my ex-husband, but we ended up getting married, and he introduced me into the graphic novels in the comic book world and Dungeons and Dragons, and I went from this perky little beach girl from Puerto Rico to this complete geek in flannel and Doc Martens in the 90s. And it was just awesome. And that was, to me, it was the stepping stone into the world of geek, was Sandman. That's what turned me. I loved it.
Yeah, his short stories are really good. I can't think of the name of the book, but the short stories, that one's kind of a little bit graphic and eerie. So,
is it dirty? Are you saying that it is pornographic material?
It's not pornographic material. It is dark material.
Gritty, ugly killing or gritty, ugly smut?
A little bit of smut, but not smut. I don't know. It's hard to describe. Neil Gaiman, everybody. I'm excited to read something.
We should do. I'm going to bring up a nomination. Oh, I just set off my Fitbit. Shh, quiet. I banged my hand and it started vibrating. It's like, be quiet. You're not walking. We need to, I think, one day, like, I don't know, farther in the year, or pick like an April Fool's thing or something, where we pick a really bad book. Like,
that is something that we can do. Just the most
really
horrible book that you can find.
And we're not going to make it easy. It's not going to be 50 Shades of Grey, because that's too commercial.
Oh.
Because, no. I read that due to a psychology class, and I was just like, most of the time, I'm like, oh, God, really?
Well, that was actually, guys, this is how we started Libation in literature. We got a discussion on Facebook of how people were trying to tell people not to go to the movies for 50 Shades of Grey. Don't read the book. It's horrible. And me and Sophia
it is badly written.
Yeah, well, me and Sophia are pretty much saying, yeah, it's a horrible book, but don't tell people not to read.
Not to read. Yes.
And don't promote it, you know? And so we were like, you know what, we're starting a book club. Because I just could not watch people.
Don't say we started this because of 50 Shades of Grey, Lauren. No!
We started it because people were saying not to read 50 Shades of Grey, but I didn't like how people were promoting not to read, even if it's shit. I don't care if it's shit.
I'm getting the hippocorn out. The hippocorn needs to comfort me right now. Because, no, but it's true. Like Harry Potter had children read. I was trying to explain. I did a little, psychology saying women that never read books read 50 Shades because Becky or Miranda or Tiffany or Ismael or whoever said, read this book, you got to read it. So people that never read books read the book. So it does have a positive to it. Just like Harry Potter, kids that hated to read. I hate books. I hate reading. My daughter was the exact same way until she read her first Harry Potter book in kindergarten, Jenica. And, yeah, she had the audiobook with her and the book, and she would read through it so she could understand the words, and she became the avid reader because of Harry Potter. Yeah. So, and people are saying, oh, Harry Potter is talking about witchcraft and blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter what the message is. If people are reading something, let them read it. Let them read it.
It's
good
an
or
introduction.
bad.
And no matter what, good or bad, let them decide. 50 Shades of Grey can mean something totally different to one woman to another.
Have you watched the movie?
No. I'm not saying it's wonderful, not my cup of tea, but it might mean something to somebody else. And who am I to say what that is for somebody? They can totally just shape it into whatever they want. So when I saw people saying...
just like the Brothers Karamazov.
Yeah, it just didn't make sense. It made me angry. So we started this book club and to just promote reading, and don't be afraid to read, even if it's shit. It's always an opening. It's a gateway. Read the shit.
Gateway drug.
And grow with your reading. And so
thank God I read enough other books that I didn't have to read 50 Shades of Grey.
No, I actually didn't read.
Do you want to laugh? Are you looking for a chuckle?
Because I think I read like a chapter.
The only reason I read it was due to my human sexuality class. And our professor said that women of high power were reading this book and becoming involved in this phenomenon because it less lucid inhibitions, blah, blah, blah. So, of course, a little psychology nerd decided, I'm going to read this. And then I got hooked on, well, what's this dude's issue? So I got all the way to the first chapter of the third book, and I said, I'm done. And off it went. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I never finished reading the whole series. I walked away. I'm like, I don't care if he got tortured and burned with cigarettes when he was 3. I don't care. Don't want to hear it. Don't care.
But I have seen.
And I've read all kinds of stuff. I don't care about language. I don't care about sex. I've read pornography.
Red and rice. Hello.
It just looked awful.
Yeah, it was poorly written, and if she said "oh my" one more time, I was gonna roadhouse her throat, because I just and the inner goddess that she kept talking about. I'm like, what are you talking about? Do you have like an issue? Are your voices talking to you? What is the inner goddess you're talking about?
Finding a bad book because there are like a billion bad books. Maybe if we all have recommendations of a book like that we know is badly written, but it's still a fun book to read, maybe that's what we should look for.
Valley of the Dolls.
Oh my God. Neely O'Hara! No.
Valley of the Dolls, man. That or Flowers in the Attic.
Oh my God.
Yes. Let's talk about the pulp fiction of the 70s
right.
and 80s.
So maybe it's a book that is still fun to read. Not just a book that's going to torture us to read, but a book that's badly written, but we're going to have fun anyway.
Brain candy. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
Maybe we know one of those.
That sounds good. We should put your entries in on the page on Facebook, on the Libation page, and then
Do we have other people vote? Should we have the viewers vote on what bad book we should read?
Oh, we could. We could do that. We have people watch this video.
Do we have viewers?
We have viewers. We do.
Who?
I put the chat up, and they can write questions. We have people watching the video. I don't know if people just stumbling across our book club on YouTube, but we do have viewers.
How fun is that?
I know. They sit and they watch us for an hour talking about a book they haven't read. So that's cool, you know?
I got beef with the Brothers Karamazov. I will tell you this. I got some issues with the Russian literature, and I hate it. And don't get me started on Anna Karenina. Don't. No.
Well, we can put our suggestions, and then we'll have a voting. I think I can generate something.
I would engineer that train to hit her.
I
would.
No,
we have lost Samantha. Samantha!
What?
There she is.
A while ago. I don't know what happened to her.
Where's the kitty? Where's the kitty?
She is over.
All right, guys. Well, I have to go back to my homework that is due at 1 o'clock in the morning.
I have 2 papers due today.
Yeah, so I kind of got to go. I got 5 discussion posts and a worksheet and a module to do, so by 1. Kind of forgot to do my homework this week, so.
Lauren!
That's okay, I did too.
So, it was a nice book club, everybody. I'm excited to get reading on the Neil Gaiman, our next book club book, which I don't know what date I put it on, April, I think. Yeah. And I will see, chapter, and we will see everybody then. So, great discussion. My libation will be. Cheers.
Awesome. Great.
Everybody have a nice night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.